ask you a question. When you think of a pension, what do you think? Boring, complicated, or something to think about later?
Well, actually, it isn't. It's something that is a provision. It contributes towards your financial wellness. And today we're going to be talking about just that. I had an amazing day at Aston University at the Center of Personal Financial Wellbeing, where we interviewed some amazing women that are doing a lot within the industry. Just for a second, let's talk about the system and let's talk about the solutions that were offered today. Maybe let's rebrand pensions, make it something that people want to engage in. And also an amazing solution that Joe Phillips offered up and they are trialing out at Nest is to maybe start off by saving into an emergency fund with your contributions first, and then the rest goes into your pensions. You can still take out your savings, but then also you've got your pension pot. Something else that already exists when women are off on maternity leave is that their partner can contribute into their pension pot, so you won't see a dip, because we know one of the massive contributing factors is that you go away and you raise your children, but then no one's paying into your pension pot. So I feel like that's an easy win that already exists. And lastly, one of the great solutions that were offered up today is financial inclusion. And this is in the form of educating people to understand what their options are, make it less complicated and a lot more transparent. Let's utilize technology a little bit here and make sure that people understand where their pension pots are. Let's not make it a massive task to try and figure out where all my pensions are. Make it really simple and really easy to do. And I think this is something that workplaces can help with as well. What are your suggestions?
Well, this is something that I've had to think about quite a lot because my parents are now at retirement age and a lot of complicated conversations are being had now. And it's just making me think there's a lot that I can do right now at age 35 before it gets to a stage where it's time to retire now. What's your plan? So today it's inspired by my parents because I love them dearly and I've learned so much from their good money decisions. And one of the good things that they did was invest in a pension. And I want to just share that. Today it's a lens around the gender pension gap. And this week, I'm going to be a chair at Aston University in the business school. Dr. Hayley James, who is the author of Pension Savings in a Gendered Lifecourse, and she is going to be launching her book, and we're going to be talking about the gender pay gap and all the key themes that are in the book, talking about why it exists and how we can improve things. So I'm really excited to talk to her about this, and there are going to be a couple of other guests that are going to be sharing all about the research that they've done in pensions for people that have different lifestyles or different demographics as well. So really excited. This week is going to be all about pensions and thinking about later life, which actually is not that far. So for me, it's something that I'm thinking about quite a lot, because if I'm going to be putting in the right practices, that will make a huge difference. The time to start was 20 years ago, but right now there's more that I can do as well. So let's go along the journey.
Oh, it's been a great day. It's amazing how fast these things go. Like, we've spent weeks planning it and talking about the book and building up to the launch today, and now it's happened. Yeah, I'm just really thrilled. It's so nice to talk to people about the book, like have it out there in the world finally, and hear lots of good feedback, positive feedback. And I'm just so pleased people like it and people think it's interesting and people think it's easy to read, because that's the main feedback I've had so far. And yeah, I just love these sort of events where we get a chance to speak about research work, but also like talk about real world impact. And I think people on the panel today really brought that alive with me, including yourself, Arlyne. So yeah, thank you for being involved. It's been a lovely day.
Where can people get the book?
It is available on the publisher's website. So it's published by Agenda Publishing. And if you search for the title, Pension Saving in a Gendered Lifecourse and Agenda Publishing, you'll be able to find it there.
Your pension is more than just a pot of money that you get at retirement. It's a reflection of how you've lived your life, the choices you've made, the roles you've taken on, and even the sacrifices you've had to make along the way. Today, we're diving into what pensions actually mean, especially for women, and how society, work, and culture helps to shape the financial futures in ways that we never talk about. Welcome back to From Roots to Fruits, where we talk about money, financial confidence, and empowering your financial future. I'm your host, Arlyne Chinyanganya, the founder of Roots to Fruits, and I am a financial wellness coach, a women in leadership ambassador, and a qualified accountant. Now, I know pensions do not sound exciting because it's saving for the far future, but stay with me here. Dr. Hayley James' book explains a lot about what we think and how we feel, but it explains it in a way where we now understand the evolution of pensions and how we are at this position. There's a deep dive on the financial system, and they're not designed with everyone in mind, of course. But what can we do about it? And financial systems, those are not within our control because we are not policymakers. But what can we do when we're thinking about our financial futures? So I'm talking as a woman that moved here from Zimbabwe. Her parents are going to move back to Zimbabwe for retirement, and also thinking about the generational wealth that doesn't quite exist in the UK because we came here as immigrants. Thinking about that and how we can lay the foundation so that when the time comes and retirement arrives, life is going to be easy breezy, because I do not want to be working past that retirement age. Something that's really humbling and sobering is that women in the UK retire with 35% less than men. And there's a host of reasons for this. It could be that women could have worked part-time at some stages. Some women might have taken career breaks to raise children. And we know that there is a gender pay gap as well. Pension systems assume full-time work, which doesn't quite work for women throughout their lifetime. We often say that pensions are for everyone, but are they really? In Dr. Hayley's book, she clearly shows the differences within the age and the gender, how much you're likely to earn and how much you're likely to save for your pension. And it's really clear that there's a massive gap there.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed today, and thank you for chairing a wonderful session. You did a really good job, and it's been really good. It's really good to hear about Hayley's book. It's a very good book. I think you should buy it, everybody. And what I talked about was the work, the ethnography work we've Ipsos, where I work, has been doing with the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, talking about pensions fit for a 21st century. So we did some research with part-time and self-employed workers looking at pensions gaps, and it's been really, really interesting. So we spent time with participants entering their everyday lives. They invited us into their households, into their communities, to really understand what's going on for them when it comes to the pension system.
I've recently worked with some women that are going through life changes such as divorce, and life can just throw a curveball at you at different ages and at different stages as well. Now, what's unfortunate is that as a woman, you might be the one that goes away and has the babies, and you feel like we're investing together with your life partner, and you've got a property, and your life partner doesn't take a career break and they are saving for retirement, but you kind of take a back seat there. So a few of the women that I have been working with, unfortunately, now need to think about their own wealth because they have split from that partner. So they can't bank on the retirement pot that their partner has. So it's really, really something that we all need to consider throughout our lives. At the start, throughout to the end, that you should have something within your name that you know that this is mine. When I retire, I'm going to be able to live sustainably. So that's one of my pleas, because you never know what is going to happen. And one of the things that stops women from engaging with pensions is that maybe they lack confidence in financial literacy or financial education. Now, that's why Risk to Fruit exists. We want to empower women, empower them in managing their finances. And this could be in a whole host of situations. It could be if you're a professional or not, or if you're a business owner as well. We really want to empower women. We work with all genders and all demographics, but something that I'm really passionate about as a SEMA Women in Leadership Ambassador is supporting women. So something that is great is that women do save really well because they feel like that's the right thing to do. So that's amazing. What's missing is the investment for the future. So I hope that you'll feel encouraged to do this if you are not in that position. Now, there are a lot of things that you could do, which is
A quick second to talk about Risk to Fruit. We are a financial wellness community. We've got a platform and we're supporting professionals and business owners to manage their finances. This ranges from coaching sessions, one-to-one, group sessions, supporting people in the workplace, and supporting business owners with accounting services, bookkeeping, payroll. We're here to support people that want to take control of their financial future. I'm excited to say that we are 5 years old now and our community is growing every day. Check out our website to learn how we can better support you.
Okay, so thinking about a pension in an uncomplicated way, it's essentially an investment pot. You put away a certain amount every month, and usually if your workplace are doing this for you, then you're putting away a certain amount based on your salary, and it's a percentage of your salary. And that goes into a pot that is looked after by a different institution. They use that money and then they invest it for you depending on your risk profile. So if you feel like, okay, I want high returns, therefore there's high risk of you losing your money, then you can invest in that. But if you feel like, okay, we're a bit more low risk here, then they can do that for you as well. It's really great that quite a lot of these providers, you can log onto their website and then you can see your pot, you can see how it's maturing, and you get to interact with it as well. So maybe sometimes you feel like, I want it to be low risk, and then sometimes you're like, I can actually go for a higher risk pot. So you can do that. Make it fun for yourself. So some people might think, oh yeah, I don't know how to invest. You're actually an investor if you have a pension pot. So something to consider here is if you start putting away money into your pension at a really young age, so let's say in your 20s, then the compounding effect is really good because you started earlier, and each pound that you put in there, it matures and it grows. So that interest that you get back, that's reinvested. So then that matures as well. So the compounding result is really positive when you start earlier. So then the older that you are and you start investing in a pension pot, now you need to put a lot more into that pension pot to be able to retire with the same amounts. So it's really interesting. There's so many calculators on different providers where you can work out based on how much that you put in and your age and the retirement age, how much you'll be able to retire with. Something that I have recently done, I say recently, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, was work out, okay, when I retire at age 65, how much do I want and how much do I need to be able to live a comfortable life, which mirrors the life that I'm currently living right now, which means that I'll be living somewhere comfortably. I can turn my heating on, I can buy the food that I want to buy, and I go on maybe 2-3 holidays a year. How much do I actually need? And that works out to be like 2,000 to 2,500 per month. So I'm not taking into account inflation or anything, but this is how much that I felt like, okay, this is how much I'm going to need to save. And let's factor in maybe 25 years of living life. So I would need roughly £600,000. And that's not £600,000 in the bank, but £600,000 worth of assets that I can then change into cash. So one of the things that I did was I bought a property. So that's one thing that I will definitely have. And then the other is investing in ISAs, investing in a pension pot as well, and a separate one that I have so that I can just make sure that I input in as much away as possible. This is after working out my emergency fund though. I did this because I'd worked out based on the amount that I was contributing towards my pension via my workplace. I'm going to be nowhere close. I was going to be nowhere close to the amount that I actually need, even though my employer was matching my contribution. And then I went full-time business owner, which means that actually Rooster Fruits needs to make sure that I've got a workplace pension. So yeah, there's loads of things that I'm taking into account. And I'm sure you're in a different position as well. And you need to consider your life, which is why the book that we are reading, Dr. Hayley James' book, is very, very important because it takes into account different lifestyles. And this is why the pension system doesn't work for everyone. Something else that you could do is go ahead and check your pensions, because a lot of people move from one employer to the other and each employer has a different provider that they choose. So you can go and look at kind of your full profile, because we forget where, or just don't even know because you lost that letter that your employer from 2 jobs ago sent you to say this is your pension provider. You can go online and go onto the government portal so that you can search for all your pension. And then you can also work out your projected state pension, because that depends on the number of years that you're actually working. The maximum amount that you can get at the moment, it's set at £220 per week. So I mentioned I need about 2,000 to 2,500 a month. So definitely the state pension was not going to be enough for me. So which is why I've got other ways that I'm going to be supplementing my lifestyle. But it's important to check based on the number of years that you've worked or projected to work what your state pension will be, because £220 is the most that you can get, but there are other tiers where it goes down depending on the number of years that you worked. And how do they know? It's when you're contributing towards your national insurance. You want to make sure that you are paying yourself first. By that I mean make sure that you've put away this amount first before you're looking into other bills and debts. So make sure that you have factored this into your budget and it is something that you're seriously working towards. So I gave you an example on diversifying my income and diversifying my wealth portfolio when I retire, all these different investments that I've made in myself, in my business, in the ISA, stocks and shares, and also putting away in an actual pension pot and the other assets that I have. So that is meant to help by the time that I actually retire. But do not forget to save for an emergency fund. Do not take away from your emergency fund and put in that into kind of like your pension pot, which is fine. It's just you want to make sure that you've got an amount if anything was to happen, because we're living in unprecedented times. So you want to make sure that you've got enough for your emergency, which is about 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses. My last tip is for you to check on your pension and your savings and your investments on a regular basis. Maybe your pension, it doesn't have to be on a monthly basis. It could be on a quarterly or an annual basis, or you just have a look to see how that pot is doing. Remember, this is for a long-term investment, meaning if the market dips, if it goes up and down and from one month to the other, it's really not something that you should stress about, because you're not taking that money out anyway. until you are at retirement age. So think of this as a long-term goal. You're putting money away for the long term, and it should appreciate, because we know the return on certain portfolios like the S&P 500 or the FTSE 100, it kind of gives you a return which is really healthy over a long lifespan. So we're not going into this like day traders where you're investing and hoping to see a return next month. Actually, this is a lifetime thing. We do have some episodes that I recorded in the past. For example, with Pension Bee's Brooke Day, and she tells us all about how to manage your pensions and why it's important. So you can go into detail there. Definitely check out that episode. I also interviewed Afia Titus, who talked about pensions, and we laughed as well. So that's a fun episode too. So definitely check out all the episodes that we do have on the subject if you want to go into detail. Today really was a little bit of a snapshot of where I'm at right now thinking about pensions, simply because I'm talking about it quite a lot with my parents, and I want to make sure that I'm set up in the best way. Now, my target, as I mentioned, is really ambitious compared to what I do have right now. So I've had to supplement the pension that I do have and invest a little bit more so that I definitely have that 600,000 by the time that I retire. And if you can do me a favor, please go and talk to other people, your loved ones, other women in your network. Just let them know about this episode. Let them know about the gender pension gap, and let them know that it's important to just take control of your life. It's never too late and it's never too early to think about your retirement. So if there's one thing that you can take away from this episode, is that pensions they're not just about retirement. They're about freedom, financial freedom, the freedom to live life on your terms without fear or regret. So whether you're employed, self-employed, or somewhere in between, you have the power to take over your financial future and take control one step at a time. Don't forget to subscribe to From Roots to Fruits. Tell a friend, tell a loved one, go and talk about this, because it's something that will come about sooner or later, and it's better that you're prepared for it.
That is all for us today, guys. Join us next week for some more seeds to sow. And please remember to support us by following and leave a rating on our show on whichever platform you're listening to us from. To those watching on YouTube, please leave a like and a subscribe to our channel. All of your support goes a long way. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, keep shining.